Hello, I'm Janna, and welcome back to the Crafty Corner. Today I'm going to be doing a 3-color challenge. The colors are going to include pink, a teal, and a lovely summer green. And of course, we're going to be translating these into distress terms. So that would mean picked raspberry, peacock feathers, and mowed lawn. If you'd like to see exactly which supplies I'm going to be using today, go ahead and pause here. All right, let's head over to the Crafty Corner. Today, we're going to be doing a 3-color challenge, and I'm going to be doing a bit of a crisscross between distress and alcohol inks. So in distress, 2 of those 3 colors are going to include picked raspberry and peacock feathers. The other one is a mowed lawn color, but I'm actually not using mowed lawn today. Instead, I'm going to be using mojito, which is a very similar color. So we're going to be mixing distress, alcohol inks, and some traditional distress ink. To start, we're going to be working on our background. Now, this is not one of my normal substrates. This is a alcohol ink cardstock, and I haven't used it very often, so today seemed like a great day to play with it. We're going to work on our background first, and I'm going to be pulling in the color denim as well, and we'll be using that in conjunction with pool, which is also very similar to peacock feathers. So first things first, we're going to need the ink blower tool, and I also want some blending solution, and why not, let's even add in some beautiful sterling alloy. So first, let's go ahead and spread the inks out. We're going to put our blending solution down first. Then we'll drip drop some inks. And then we'll move that around with the blower tool. Okay, so mostly just trying to get a good inky flow going. I want the inks to move and to remind myself what the properties are of the cardstock versus regular Yupo. I really don't remember, but playing is the best way to find out what a substrate does. So just moving that around. I'm loving the colors already. It's getting good coverage, so that is all very good. All right. Typically I would do little puffs of air because we don't want to do blood pressure with this, but today I'm kind of going for some larger ones just because I'm aiming for large coverage. I'm not trying to do anything with a whole bunch of finesse. I just want the color on here, and then we'll do more of the background when we add in the sterling. So just dripping in a little bit of color here and there, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so got the ink. It's definitely been moved around. Seems pretty good. Now, one thing I am noticing, since this is the alcohol ink cardstock, wherever I drop the ink, there's like a little bit of a after image, kind of like it bled into whatever's underneath the glossy surface just a bit. But you know what? I'm not worried. This is a background, and backgrounds, well, are in the background. So next, let's go ahead and give our alloy a good shake. As you can hear, there's a mixing ball in here. So with alloy, it does not take a lot to get this to move around. And we do want to start with a little bit of blending solution before we add a drop. I'm just doing 1 single drop right now. I'm just going to see what a drop gets me, and if I need more, I can always go back and add more, but it's hard to take this away. As you can see, when it starts spreading, it spreads. All right. Now, this is the point where we become very generous with the blending solution because we want to float the alloy and get it to do that really neat thing where it starts spreading around and we get these little chunky bits. That's the really interesting part about the alloy. It makes these lovely little rivulets of metallic, and we kind of want to get those spread around. We don't want this all clumped up, because when these are not moving, they like to clump together and form little groups. But I want this spread out all over so that we can get a little bit of shine everywhere. Okay. So it's a little bit more clumping on this side. Just try to get that to move. If it starts to not move, then we can add a little bit more blending solution. But for the most part, it moves very, very well. Okay, I think I need a little bit right here, and I am thinking I am going to need one more drop of the alloy. I don't use them very often. I'm not always the best at judging how much is too much, but I like what I see so far. That's really pretty, but I'd like a little bit more along the edge. So we're going to add some more blending solution over here, and then I will try to do a very small droplet of alloy. All right, just gonna do that right on the edge, right there. Perfect. And we'll just slowly start trying to move that around. There we go. I'm getting some of that on the edges. Okay. So I'm just going to try to spread that out, move that down the edge, and break up those clusters. There we go. I'll probably also go back in with some more pool, because I lost some of that when I was adding the alloy. All right, now we got some movement going. That is good. So let's just take that, scoot that around. There we go. Now we're getting some movement. That is more what I'm looking for. Oh, and I want a bit more blending solution. All right, there we go. And we'll just keep blowing that around, trying to get everything integrated, making sure that it doesn't look like we just randomly dropped ink in places. I want it to look like everything belongs. There we go. Ooh, that's working. Okay, interesting. All right. I want a teeny tiny bit, not a lot. Like there, just like that. I'm wondering if applying this could be done with a brush a little bit more effectively if you just want to add like a little dot in a single spot. Okay, so I'm still moving that around, trying to get good flow. There. Now I'm just kind of waiting for the blending solution to dry because I got the splotch that I wanted. Now I'm just trying to keep everything moving so it doesn't settle in one spot. There we go. Okay, so I would say that we have got our finished background. We've got the lovely alloys on here. We've got some beautiful colors. We included pool, which is our teal color. So right there, that would be our background. So I'm just going to give this a quick dry with the Ranger Heat tool and just make sure that there's nothing shiny or too sticky. Okay, this is all nicely dried off. Now, one thing that I found was very interesting. When I flip this over, there's actually a bit of bleed through on the back. This definitely wouldn't happen with the Yupo paper since that's completely plastic and synthetic, but this does have a bit of a paper backing. So I just thought that was interesting that we had some bleed through. But I am super, super happy with this background. It is so dreamy. I love it. I almost hate to add anything to it, but that's kind of part of the plan at the moment. So I think we're just going to add a teeny tiny bit of stenciling. And I don't want to add too much because I really, really like what's going on here. All right, so we've got some chipped sapphire and I have the stencil THS 161. And we're just going to add a little bit of stenciling in each of the corners, just for a little bit more visual interest. Okay, so I'm going to grab one of my blending tools. I've got some dome foam on these. There we go, got that. And I'll just ink this up and add that little bit of detail. All right, Just like that should be good. You know what? I'm not even sure if this is going to stick that well over the alloy now that I think about it. But let's see what we can do. I am curious now. Alright, let's lift that. Oh! It works. Now, interestingly, the alloy kind of doesn't want the ink on there, but it works just for a little bit of added pattern. Why not? So I'm going to do the same thing in the other corner. Just put that right here. All right. That's really interesting that the alloy doesn't want to play with the distress ink. It's very interesting. Okay, but we've got that. So I like it. It kind of adds something to it. It's cool. All right, so we'll set that stencil aside, move the ink off to the side, blending tool away, cleaning as I'm going, trying to have a somewhat clear work surface. Now, the next thing I want to do is to add a bit of spritz, and we're going to be using a teeny tiny bit of picked raspberry and some peacock feathers. So, got to give these a really good shake, because all of that lovely sparkles at the bottom, and we need to reincorporate that. Okay, the pink is nicely integrated. Peacock feathers needs a little bit more shaking. There we go. So, I'm going to spritz the peacock feathers first. There, just that, no more, no less. Just doing that teeny tiny bit. And now for a slightly more generous splash of peacock feathers. Perfect. All right, I'm just going to dry this off, and then we'll take a closer look at what Spritz has done for us. Okay, and here's the effect with Spritz. So we can definitely see Spritz on there, and oh, there it goes. Now we can see that beautiful metallic shine. It's really interesting since we paired that with the alloy, which is very reflective, as is the glossy cardstock. But it's definitely there, and it definitely adds a bit more shimmer. Okay, let's set our background aside and move on to the next piece of Yupo paper. So we're going to be die cutting up 2 more pieces of Yupo paper. One is going to be with greens for some leaves to go with our flower. That will be die cutting out of one of the brush stroke die cuts by Sizzix and Tim Holtz. And the other one is going to have a combination of some denim and gumball on it. Let's start with the green first. So just a little bit of blending solution, bit of pool, and some mojito. All right, so now we're going to use little puffs of air with the ink blower tool, and the substrate I'm using this time is Yupo. Just moving the ink around, just trying to get good coverage. And I forgot, the mojito is a really potent color, and that's trying to overwhelm pool. So I will add a bit more of that in. Okay. You know what? I want to get 2 prints for 1 because I can die cut more of this later. So what I'm going to do is take a second piece of Yupo, and we're just going to monoprint. Sticking that over the top, leaving that down, and there we go. So now I get 2 prints. I'll just let these dry, and that's going to make some lovely die cuts for leaves. Okay, now for the pink and some more pool, I think. No, I think I want to do denim. All right, gumball and denim. So we're going to need the blending solution. There we go. Open that up. Good. And now some denim. I don't want a lot because if I put too much down, we're going to end up with a lot of purple. Not that I don't like purple, but I really want the pink to show through. So, little bursts of air, just trying to get this to move around. And we'll see what happens. Ooh. I like how the pink is really breaking down into a whole bunch of different shades. That's really pretty. So, we need more blending solution. There we go. Now I'm getting some good movement. Right, a little bit more over here and there. Good. So, just moving that around. Definitely liking what that's doing. It's interesting. So I'm just going for some different shades on here because we'll be die cutting this out. It's not going to matter if it's really super pretty. It's going to be sliced and diced anyway. Mostly I just want some interesting color to play with. Alright. There we go. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay. Well, all in all, I'm pretty happy with that. So now I just want to make sure everything is dried off and then we can start die cutting. So we've been using the die set Brushstroke Florals 1. And this is one of my favorite floral die sets. So let's go ahead and pull our die cuts in. There are 2 different sized flowers on here, which are nice for scale. And there's the large one, there's the little one, and then I've got a whole pile of leaves that we can play with. These were all die cut from the Yupo paper that we had inked up with some bubble gum and denim. So now let's go ahead and put these together. We're going to do the assembly on fast forward. Okay, we've got our flowers all put together. Those are so vibrant. I'm very happy with that. Not sure if we'll use both of them, but I assembled both at the same time, so we've got options. Now let's bring back in our background. So we have our background, and we're going to be adding the flowers to that. Or flower, I'm not sure yet. Ooh. That worked out really well. And right now I'm just kind of thinking out loud as I start building with the pieces that we have. Some of these I might need to cut off a little bit, but right now just kind of playing with the card composition. I like to try to group my items when putting things together. The biggest question for me always is, which direction do I want to group stuff? Do I want to group up, down, sideways, and where can things go? Okay, that's good. Like that. Let's see, I'll try this here. It's all a bit of a balancing act, and I find it interesting every time I go to put stuff together. Never quite know how a card's going to turn out, because sometimes I change my mind partway through making a decision. There. Like that. I definitely want some greens in here. Tuck that little one right there. And let's see. Oh, like that. Maybe one more little branch over here. Okay. think I've got what I want. I'm not sure though. So many little green pieces, which is great. All right. Oh, I think I'm liking that. And now I want to add the bird in, but where or how? Is the bird going to fit well here? What else do I have for options? Let's see. Oh, I do have another bird in the same color. But maybe, let's see, what if I turn this around? If we turn that, yeah, placing it like that works. But what do I want to anchor the bird with? Maybe some washi tape. Let's see. Do I want numbers? Do I want something blue? Do I want something neutral? Ooh, so many choices. Or maybe I want something chunky. And I could just do one chunk of washi across the bottom. Yeah, I think I want to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to run a very thin line of glue just for a little extra adhesion for the washi. And we're going to be building this from the ground up. Okay, so I've got a blue. It definitely fits the other colors that we have going on here, so that's a good thing. Take that, put that here. I don't really want to do like a whole border of washi this time. I just want that to act maybe just as a little accent. Okay, good. And now I'm going to need some foam squares. That'll pop our bird up just a little bit. Now I have a choice. I could do the little bird right here, or we could do the large one. I think I like the little short one better. So, go with that. Okay, and I've got my foam squares. Just take that. All right. And we'll place that little bird down here. I like that. He's gonna lose just a teeny tiny bit of his tail, but that's okay. All right, now let's turn back over here and start gluing things down. And you know what? Let's put these in with foam tape. That'll be easier for me to sneak the greens in around the edges. Okay, just 3 of those, that's good. And I'll do a little cluster of 3 here, because I mostly want to be able to put the little greenery pieces in and tuck those in. I can use glue for those. Okay, good. So I'm going to put the big one down first. That's going to go right here. And then we'll tuck the little flower in. Right there. All right. Now I'm just going to go in with the glue and add in all those nice little pieces of greenery. And I will definitely have some pieces that will need to be cut off, but not a big deal. We can easily do that after the glue has dried. I'm also thinking that I might want to add in a little bit more spritz for a bit more sparkle before we finish this up. But for right now, I'm just tucking greens in, and we'll see how that looks. I am so happy that we did this color challenge today. I love having a limited palette. It makes me more creative when my resources are more limited. But on the other hand, given how many wonderful products of distress there are and branching into the alcohol inks, we are actually spoiled for choice for mediums. Like I could have done this with distress crayon, we could have done distress paint, spray stains, oxides, inks, even glazes. But now we've even got Spritz to play with. So even though we limited the color palette, our options were pretty much endless, which is a nice thing. All right, there we go. Let's get this one next. Okay, that is coming together very well. Quite happy. So I'm just scribbling some collage medium on here, and I'm tucking the largest pieces in first, then I'm going back to accent with the littler pieces. That's just usually the process I like to do. Get the big things down and then add in the details. Okay, now where do I want that? Oh, here's good. Okay. So, almost done with our greens. Oh, let's add this one too. That's good. That's giving us some dimension. All right, I think I've got one more piece I want to add, and then I think I'm done with the greens. I think so. Yep. Good. Now I'm done with that. Okay. The next thing I'm going to want to do will be to grab a sentiment. I'm going to be going into some of the older ideology stickers. Oh wow, these are definitely from a while back. These are metallic stickers. This is before we had that lovely spiral to pull from. Yeah, I think I do want to use the white one. Ooh, and we've got all sorts of wonderful choices. I think we'll go with Remember the Now. And next question is, where do we put it? I think we'll put that right over here, but I'm going to trim this so that I've got enough room for the entire sentiment. All right, can't find my snips. They seem to have gotten buried, but I've got the recoils. That will work. Good. So we'll put that right here. And then this one's gonna go here. Okay. And the last thing I want to do is add just a little bit more spritz. And we're going to be adding a dash more picked raspberry. So I'm just going to give this a really big shake. And a very light spritz over the top. So I am pretty certain these sprayers are slightly different. They feel different than the regular distress spray stains. So we're going to do a slow squeeze to get some spritz. Okay, that should be good. And I do have a little bit of overflow. I'll just carefully dab that up with the towel. And then we're going to dry this off before we take a closer look. All right. All right, let's take a look at our completed card. So we started with some alcohol inks in the background with a splash of denim and some pool, and then we embellished that with some sterling alloy. After, we even got a little bit of stenciling in with some Chip Sapphire Distress ink using one of the Tim Holtz stencils. After, we turned our attention to some more alcohol ink play. We did a model print with some beautiful greens using Mojito and a dash of pool. Then we played with some bubblegum and a bit of denim to create these beautiful flowers from Brushstroke Flowers by Sizzix, set 1. And for finishing touches, I added in a die-cut bird from Feathered Friends that I had in my stash that complemented the colors that we have been using today. And last but not least, we finished this off with some word stickers and a little bit of washi tape. So this card today was inspired by a 3-color theme featuring pink, green, and teal. Thank you so much for joining me here today at the Crafty Corner. And until next time, happy crafting!